And for people now, you know, if you look at the latest energy inflation data, this is September inflation data, you know, you can see energy going up, electricity going up, gasoline a little bit down, gas service up. And if you look at the average gas price, these are two different things to look at, but steady from 1 year ago, it's about roughly the same, $3.07, $3.06. I guess my question is, will people feel a different energy cost into the new year, quarter one, quarter two, do you think?
I think you'll soon see a stop in the rise of electricity prices.
Well, look at that. Somebody from Trump's cabinet finally telling the American people the truth, that yes, energy prices are going up. And this coming from Trump's own energy secretary.
So I don't want to hear about the affordability, because right now we're much less. If you look at energy, we're getting close to $2 a gallon gasoline. With Biden, it was $4.50, $5.
I think you build a strong economy, bribing people with a couple $1,000s off of tariffs that have made it more expensive for them to live. I mean, it's like the classic arsonist trying to put out the fire after he started it. I think it would be far more helpful to build a strong economy so people can get jobs and get paid. But so much of what President Trump has been doing has been moving in the opposite direction on that. And he has not paid attention to inflation and high prices the way he said he was. I mentioned the tariffs. I mentioned the impact on labor because of the immigration raids. There's also the fact that he's been canceling energy projects all across the country, most often to try and target Democrats, canceling projects in so-called blue states. That's driving up the cost of energy. And now we've done nothing about healthcare, so the cost of people's healthcare is going to go up. Everything is contributing to rising costs, and the best we've seen from President Trump in the last week is to start to slow down some of the terrible stuff he's doing. He's reducing some of the tariffs that were driving up food prices. I think we need to do a lot better than that to meet the economic needs of the American people.
Energy prices going up in the United States isn't a matter of it going up despite Trump's actions. It's going up because of Trump's actions. According to Forbes, electricity prices in the U.S. will shoot up due to federal mandates. The fact is that Trump is taking us away from cheaper sources of energy, solar and wind, and instead favoring coal and other dirty fossil fuel electricity. Sure, in part because of the lobbying and heavy investment of those industries into Trump and the Republican Party. Well, China also has increasing energy needs, but they are choosing instead to use solar and wind and finding that to be cheaper. Instead, Trump extended a coal plant that was meant to shut down, and by extending it, it cost the Americans $100 million to keep that plant open. According to Forbes, in China, solar and wind are getting cheaper. In the US, fossil electricity and new nuclear are getting more expensive. The result, electricity prices will shoot up in the US, which is why the energy secretary cannot ignore the reality. Energy prices are going up. And the problem is we have somebody in office, Trump and all of his cohorts, who care more about the oligarchs who are investing and lobbying and giving them money for their campaigns, and with Trump in his own pockets and who knows how many other corrupt actions that we're not even paying attention to or know enough about. But it's not about whether or not those costs, which are borne by the American people, at the end of the day, we're going into winter, there's going to be more electricity used. As AI gets bigger, more electricity is used. Those costs aren't going to be borne by the AI companies. They're going to be passed down to the customer. China, as it's developing, is using cheaper energy sources. The US is doing the exact opposite.
I mean, I would love to see a change in government. My wife's from Nicaragua. We know how terribly the dictators there rely on Venezuelan oil. But at the same time, a lot of Americans don't want actual U.S. participation in regime change in Venezuela. They would much prefer the Venezuelans to do it on their own. Do you think the pressure that Maduro has received will force him to leave on his own?
Oh, I think Maduro is not Fidel Castro. Maduro is not a brave boy. So now that he has understood that he's on that very nefarious list of the terrorist organization, that the airspace above Venezuela has been closed off and the commercial airlines from the United States are not flying, he's understanding that we're about to go in. He understands that he has been our enemy for the last 25 years. Venezuela, for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in, basically for three reasons. You're in Fox Business. Venezuela, for the American oil companies, will be a field day because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies, or everything that has to do with oil and the derivatives.
Energy prices are going up and are due to continue to go up so much in the United States due to Trump's own policies. You have now people in the administration, in the Republican Party, openly admitting that getting the oil reserves in Venezuela will help the energy prices. So for all of us who knew that this drug cartel attack on the drug cartel, that this was some sort of war on the drug cartel, really was nonsense. And it was about the fact that Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world, can see now that they aren't even trying to pretend that this isn't about the oil, but instead openly talking about how it's necessary to go to war, to put lives of our American service people at risk in order to get access to the oil in Venezuela, instead of doing what China is doing and investing in renewable resources, which end up being cheaper and better and make it unnecessary to go to war with foreign countries in order to try to gain their oil. Did we not learn anything from Iraq? Certainly the Iraqi people, who about 1 million people there were killed when we tried to gain that oil reserve and tried to lie, and did lie about it then, to the entire world about the reason for it. And we see this playing out again. And thankfully, at least, we have people questioning in real time this fallacy that the reason why we're going into the Caribbean waters has anything to do with the drug cartels.
For example, President Trump's policies are working to make Americans' Thanksgiving more affordable this year, from their commute to the dinner table. Nearly 100 million Americans are expected to drive next week to spend time with loved ones for the holiday. And thanks to President Trump's drill baby drill agenda, the national average price of a gallon of gas on Thanksgiving Day is projected to be at the cheapest price since the COVID pandemic in 2021. President Trump is bringing down gas prices and providing significant savings to American families at the pump. And again, we expect those prices to continue to decline.
The president says there's virtually no inflation and that grocery prices are going down. Do you agree with him on that?
No, I go to the grocery store myself. Grocery prices remain high. Energy prices are high. My electricity bills are higher here in Washington, D.C. at my apartment, and they're also higher at my house in Rome, Georgia, higher than they were a year ago. So affordability is a problem.
Prices are up in the United States for coffee. It's up almost 20%. Utility up 11.7%. And then electricity is up 5.1%. And vehicle repair, if you need your car fixed, it's up 11.5%.
I mean, just your costs are up versus a year ago. Groceries, 85%. Utilities, 78%. Healthcare, 67%. Housing, 66%. Gasoline, 54%. The bottom line is this. Americans feel like prices are rising in each and every single part of their lives, rising ever climber, and they just don't feel like, Kate Baldwin, that they can catch a break.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.